Welcome back to BVarsity Live. We got a short time here.
Rapid
Off
fire.
the Press is coming up next at 3 o'clock on Bakersfield.com. So let's get off the air before then. Go through predictions for Week 6 in Kern County football. Maricopa at Valley Christian Academy, 8-man football. Who you got, Trevor?
Maricopa.
I got Maricopa as well. And the other 8-man game on Friday night, Riverside County Education Academy at Mojave.
Not even close.
Yeah, Mojave wins big. They scored 87 last week. Look out. Boron at San Juan Capistrano, Saddleback Valley Christian.
One of two games that we differ on this week. I got Boron.
I have Saddleback Valley Christian. I actually got a note from Rob Kostopoulos giving me grief about picking against Boron, but I did it again this week.
There you go, bud.
I got Saddleback Valley Christian. Cal City at Layton.
Ravens.
Terrible. Cal City.
Yep, Ravens.
Up next, Corcoran at sorry. I'm out of order here. Granite Hills is at McFarland. Who you got?
Oh, I got McFarland, man.
I got McFarland as well. Granite Hills also not. They are winless, I believe.
Yep.
Now Corcoran at Kern Valley. I got the Bronx to move to 4-2.
Yep.
Before High Desert League play begins. Now we kind of get into it a little bit. Rosemont at Miramonte, another High Desert League game for the Lions. This is the other game we differ on.
I got Rosemont.
I'm going Miramonte, fighting David Cold Irons. Let's go. And Hoover is at Highland. Luckily, we don't have as many games this week as we try to burn through this. Hoover is at Highland. Hoover's 0-4. They have played a reasonably difficult schedule, but they've also lost to every team by at least 11 points. The Scots have lost 2 in a row. I think they get back on track here.
Yep, Highland.
In the SSL, Shafter is at Arvin, and it's a road game. Could be tricky for the Generals. They've lost a couple of games in a row after a 2-1 start. Can they rebound? You have this as a close game.
I do. I think that Arvin is playing a little bit better. They got some points up on Taft last week. I think that they'll continue to do that, but I think Shafter pulls it out, 21-19.
I think they got points up on Taft because Taft kind of called the dogs off there in the second half.
Fair enough.
That's my opinion. I have Shafter by 2 touchdowns, 34-20. Next, Delano is at Wasco. Interesting North County rivalry game here. 2-2 Delano, 3-1 Wasco. I actually see this as a close game. I think Delano's defense keeps them in it. I do have Wasco pulling it out at home in the end.
I think Wasco is better than that loss to BCHS, and I think that they're going to get back on the winning track here tonight and, win by a couple touchdowns.
I think that missed opportunity against BCHS, it's a
5 missed
possibility.
opportunities.
Well, that's what I mean. As a game, it was a huge missed opportunity for a statement win and a 4-0 start. There's a possibility for a Wasco hangover here.
No, I think there's also the possibility of Wasco wanting to come back and redeem themselves.
And that's always the difficulty in predicting these things. But Wasco has to be on the lookout for that, I think. Okay, North is at Tehachapi. Can the Warriors finally get that first win? I think so. I think it happens this week. The schedule lightens up just a little bit here. Tehachapi gets on track, and I think the Warriors are actually getting on a roll in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is where Denman and the Warriors get that first win of the season. Things start to roll a little bit right before the SYL league slate starts off.
I will say that if North wins that game, it's going to be a long season in Tehachapi. If they lose this game, they're not getting to 5 wins. They're not getting Steve Denman to 300. Nope. And you better they got to turn it around now. Let's just put it that way. They got to turn it around now. West at South, an interesting game. South's an interesting team. Give up 49 to Independence a couple weeks ago. That's the Falcons' only win. And then they turn around and score 42 and beat Tulare Western last week, and that's one of Tulare Western's only 2 losses. How do you figure this team?
I don't know, and that's why I still think South is going to win this game, and that's why I have it as a toss-up. Week in and week out, you don't know what you're going to get with the Rebels, but you're going to get a third win, I think, out of this one. You just don't know how. Yeah,
you have it as a 1-point win. I think the one thing we do know about South is that right now they're probably better than West, especially at home. Might be close for a while. I think South pulls away up 41-17. Moving on, East looking for 6-0 against rival Foothill. 1 year ago, October 2nd of last year, Foothill beat East to break a 22-game losing streak. Now East is on a 5-game winning streak.
Yeah.
That's how
Welcome to
quickly
2016, buddy. Welcome to high school football.
I know, and the Blades are rolling, and I think they keep rolling.
Yep, I do too.
31-14. Moving on, game we talked about a lot. Garces at Edison. Edison's 0-4. Don't throw that out the window, okay? They're better than that. Garces 3-1. Edison's concerned, as Andy Bogart told us in the last segment.
And could easily be 4-0.
Yeah. Edison's concerned about Garces' speed. That might just be a little bit of gamesmanship to say, oh, we're very concerned about it. Well, Edison's fast, too. This is going to be a really entertaining game.
Yeah, I wish I was there. Andy gets a good game to look at, and I think it really is going to come down to is who makes less mistakes. And right now, I think Garces has been making less mistakes, but we don't know because they've been playing D3 teams, where Edison's been playing an incredibly tough schedule. So what comes out, I still think that Garces continues this role it's weird to think about an Edison team maybe being 0-5. But, from my standpoint, I've seen Garces live twice, and both times absolutely dominating.
Extremely impressive, and I'm very curious to see how they do against a Division I team with that track meet speed.
Yeah.
They did not make fewer mistakes against Bakersfield Christian. The opener beat them anyway. Since then, I think they've cleaned it up a little bit. So I go with the Rams here, 33-22. You like that score? 33-22.
35-28, bub.
Kennedy at Bakersfield Christian. Bakersfield Christian survived despite making all the mistakes last week in Wasco. Could be a sign of just one sloppy game and a good team overcoming that. Can they prove that against Kennedy again? You have this as a 1-point game.
It's a coin toss to me because Kennedy, I think, is still a team that can disrupt, and it's much like what Wasco should have done and could have done but didn't do. And that's with the run game, controlling the clock, and keeping Braden Wingle and Jeremiah Foster and Stephen Figures and Brock Holloway off the field. Keeping those playmakers for BCHS off the field.
I agree with you that BCHS wins this game. I have it as a 17-point game, and it might be more. I think Kennedy is still a very good Division VI team. I don't see them as being ready to play with a team that, frankly, is a Division III title contender in Bakersfield Christian. Now, things happen, but to me, if this is a close game, that means BCHS did not play that well. So I have BCHS winning pretty big, 37-20.
Show.
Let's see. We're down to our final two games here. The game you're at is Bakersfield High at Ridgeview. Again, this is one of those things. Bakersfield, we mentioned it. They lost 48-9 to Valencia. Worst loss in a generation for the Drillers.
Yeah.
And they turn around, and they also, and really adding injury to that insult is Joshua Moran and Daniel Shoney can't play in this game. For me, if even one of those guys was playing for BHS, I think I'd go with the Drillers. Losing both of them, only having a week to overcome that, and then Ridgeview is sort of a wounded animal in its own right at 1-3, a team that hasn't lost that many regular season games in the last 2 years combined.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Ridgeview here. I'm not terribly confident in that pick.
I'm not either. Ridgeview also coming off a bye. Ridgeview also completely healthy and has everybody on board now, and that's the biggest thing is they've had a few disciplinary issues from some starters that has kept them off the field 1-2 different games, and now everybody's back, and maybe Ridgeview finally turns that corner. And it's so weird because 2.5 weeks ago, even after the loss to Chaminade, we still thought that this BHS team was still a dominant team, and maybe they still were with Moran at quarterback, but that was such a devastating loss for the Drillers. I don't know what happens here with BHS. I hope that they, you always hope that these high school kids are able to overcome and respond, but I don't know if they're going to be able to overcome and respond right away.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting to see. We both like Ridgeview in a close game. Wouldn't surprise us to see it go the other way. Now, our game of the week on BVarsity Live, you can catch it on Bakersfield.com, on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m., or the new 98.1 FM. It's the South Sequoia League showdown between 4-0 Cesar Chavez, 4-1 Taft. Pre-game show at 7 o'clock. And the kickoff schedule for 7:30 out in Taft. Going to be a good one. On paper, it looks like Chavez's defense against Taft's offense, especially Robert Cosine. I think it comes down to the other side of the ball because Taft's going to get its points.
Yep.
I don't know that they're going to go 70 points like they did against Exeter a couple of weeks ago. They're going to get their points. The question is, can Cesar Chavez match that against Taft's D? And I actually see this turning into a bit of a shootout.
So do I, because we always talk about the defense for Chavez, but the thing is they returned 4 of their 5 offensive starters. They've got a running back that rushed for almost 900 yards last year. They have their quarterback back, who was the first-team All-SYL, or SSL, and Deion Perkins, and then they got their top receiver, who's also one of their top defensive playmakers, Javier Fernandez. That's a very good team offensively.
Yes.
So yeah, I agree with you that this could turn out to be an offensive shootout.
Okay, 30 seconds. Give me your score.
35-28 Taft.
I go even higher than that, and I think the home field might flip this one.
Yep.
Taft's always got a good crowd out there. I think they get the ball last and score the game-winning touchdown. How's that? 41-37 Taft. Robert Cosine with the winner. We'll see you tomorrow on Bakersfield.com at 7 o'clock for the pregame show. That's
BVarsity Nightly tonight. Centennial at Garces volleyball action live.
Our producer's John Farron. That's Trevor Horn. I'm Zach Ewing. We got to get out of here. We'll see you next week on
Bye, everybody.
BVarsity Live.